So I have just listened to the latest episode, which many people have pointed me towards, of More Than Just a Podcast with Sean Whetston. And many of you who saw last night, I lost my rag a little bit. And I've got to say, my emotions were running a little bit high. At the moment, I am sitting in, I'm not shocked about what I've been heard, but it's sort of like hitting home in some of the things that, and as I said before, you're innocent until you're proven guilty. But some of the things that I'm hearing, and some of the accounts of what's going on at the football club and what could be done, and I'm giving a honest, in real time reaction. And I lost my rag yesterday with people like Sean Whetston, who, listen, and I'm going to say this straight up, I have never had a personal issue with Sean. I find Sean quite a pleasant man outside of football. But I have never, ever agreed. And I've told him many, many times about what he does and why he does it. And although this came before, I'm sure it was recorded before we recorded our stuff, because people alluded to it yesterday. So we haven't heard anything since. But I broke down a little bit, and I've sent quite a nasty tweet. And as I said before, I'm quite a reactionary person. It's not something I have to deal with, that sort of thing. But I speak my mind, and sometimes it comes across as rude or aggressive, or sometimes downright out of order. It's got me in trouble before, and I'm sure it will get me in trouble again. But I react, and I do sort of seize on my emotions, which at the moment I'm in a state of disbelief, to be quite honest with you. Listen, we all knew these things were coming, but the severity of the things we're still to find out. And I've given my opinion, and these are just my opinions, but I listen to More Than Just a Podcast. And I'm going to say this about Sean, and I'm going to try and keep a level head when I'm talking about this. Is Sean, for all of his faults, and for all of the things I don't agree with, and for all of the things that I think he should be apologizing for now, and he didn't in this episode, but it doesn't mean he won't in the future. He knows what he is, and he admits what he is. And there's one thing you can say about Sean: he's honest. He is honest. He has never tried to hide the fact that he gets his information from here. And that's one thing I do respect someone for. No matter what you are doing, if you own the fact that you're doing it, and we all have our different thoughts about how things should be dealt with, and things should be. And he has his faults, and I have my faults. It wouldn't be the way I conduct myself, and I'm sure he wouldn't conduct himself by, throwing himself under the bus so many times as me, because my mouth does get me into trouble sometimes. I had to make an apology to Gonzo by making and that's all sorted now, by the way. We're on talking terms, by making a few rash comments and harsh judgments when it wasn't my right to. And sometimes, no matter how strongly you feel about it, you haven't got a right to do them things. But I listened to the podcast. I just wanted to break it down a little bit. And I'll end the recording here, because I'm going to put some clips out, and then I'll come back and record a little bit more. And we'll go over a couple of the bits that I've written down here. So I'm going to play you a bit of this podcast. If you want to listen to the podcast, I'm a fair man, and I'm not going to restrict anyone, because there are people on there as well, other than Sean Whetston, from listening to the podcast. The podcast is more than just a podcast. It's the latest episode. And we're going to have a little listen. And listen, I'm going to stop it in bits coming through, and I'm going to say what I say. And I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be fair to what I'm saying. So this is the More Than Just a Podcast. This is Sean's podcast. This is the last episode that he uploaded. And he uploaded this before we did that video, and I realised that he blocked me. But there's a few things I want to critical. And you know what? I'm going to be fair. I'm going to be fair, because as I said before, as a man, I've got no problem with the geezer. He's all right. I don't understand what he does. I don't understand the joy of what he gets out. He gets out of what he does. and I'll never understand it. I'm I think you've got to be a bit of a strange man to get any joy out of stroking your ego that much, if I'm honest. But personally, I've never had an issue with him. Professionally, yes, I have. And I'm going to play this podcast. I'm going to be fair. Everyone knows my feelings, and everyone knows I can be reactory. But I'm going to be fair. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to give him praise where it's due. So I'm going to stop it every now and then we're going to have a look through what we're listening to.
Credit with the campaign, and that is Andy Payne. And I think sometimes, Hammers United, when they first went after in the FAB against Brady and Sullivan, no one thought they would achieve it. But Andy Payne is a smart guy. And, I'm
not going to give him some praise here. He is praising the Hammers United campaign. Sullivan is now gone. Sean is congratulating Andy Payne. And they're going to congratulate other people as well. And they're congratulating them. That's commendable, to be honest with you. That's commendable because although they are campaigning for something that directly affects him, he has got no personal issue with shaking hands and saying the best man won. So I'm gonna give him some props there, but there's some criticism coming.
Yeah.
So what did you celebrate, Sean?
Well, look, I think it's look. I'm glad you asked me that. Right. So it's an end of an era. Look, do I think that the club is better off without him tinkering with changing managers and transfers? Yes, I do. Right. I think.
So when did you decide that? Because you haven't been saying this for.
Well, I think that I thought that while it was his train
struggling to make an excuse. Now he's starting to say, "Oh, I think it's this, and I think it's better without him, and I think it's without him." He's also said it's the end of an era. Yeah, it's the end of an era of your ego getting stroked. Let's continue.
His train set, and he could play with it. Go on.
I think
he's train set, and he can play with it. No, this man claims to be a fan of this football club. My football club, your football club, is not a train set. It's an institution. It's a thing that was created by a community. He happens to own it. And do you know what? They said how much money is invested to own the club earlier on in this podcast, and they broke it down. £15 million. £15 million because of all the loans he's had paid back. That's how much he's invested in this football club since day dot. That's how much he's got invested. That's how much he's got put in this football club right now. £15 million. That's it. So what is he holding the club to ransom for? But here we go. Keep on going.
Being a bit arsed there on Sean because I know, like we have spoken, whatever. He's had a lot of reservations about Sullivan and whatever. He may not have said them publicly.
Nigel, and I respect Nigel. Nigel confronts Sean a lot, but Nigel is making excuses for the man now. Nigel's a nice guy. I've had run-ins with Nigel before. Some people still don't like Nigel. I think Nigel's a nice geezer, and he's an honest geezer. But this is him trying to cover for his friend because he knows that there's a shitstorm coming for this man. He knows.
Yeah, he's played a game, but privately, in conversations, he's had his doubts over the way and his criticisms of the way they run the club.
Yeah.
But it didn't stop him doing what he did, though.
But he didn't stop him doing what he did. And that is it, isn't it? Right? Even if that's the truth, what is you said there, Nigel. And listen, I've got no doubts that Nigel tells the truth. Nigel is an honest guy, right? And I'm sure he's telling the truth. Never gone on record of the criticism because he was stroking his ego and he was getting favours done, right? And he just said there, never stopped him doing what he did. And that is the point. He's meant to be a fan of this football club. He's watched a man pull it down from the inside. No, he hasn't watched a man. He has helped a man pull it down from the inside by spreading his lies and his propaganda in exchange for inside information. Sean Whetston had the details of a Declan Rice contract. All of the details. He's told me that. That's fact. He's told me that himself. He's on record on saying it. He had the full details of a Declan Rice contract before it was offered to Declan. Well, as it was being considered by Declan Rice. This is the one he signed before he went to Arsenal. So the previous one, that they was trying to force him to sign a contract. You know how they was trying to force him to sign a contract? They released all of the details, the private details, to this man here. And this man happily shared them. Just to say, I know and you don't. That's it. Listen, it gets worse. It gets worse. And this is what I don't understand.
You go.
And look, I think, and I've said this to John.
You know what we've said. You made your
Yeah,
bed.
no, of course
now
I
you've got to
did.
lie.
And I'm getting a lot of grief online, and you know, fair enough. Never complain, never explain.
Never complain, never explain. He's getting a lot of grief. He owns his grief. And I respect him for that. You know, I don't like what he does, but I respect a man who owns his shit. I do. I really do. If you're willing to stand up, listen, the worst ones are the ones that don't admit it. This man admits he's a scumbag. He's admitted it. Told me to my face. He helped Sullivan spread messages that weren't true, misinformation, misleading information to make it look like they're doing things when they weren't. And in exchange, he got inside information. And he carries on. He becomes very honest.
And I've been getting a lot of grief. And yes, I'm laying a bit low until, you know, it sort of calms down.
Laying low. When it was on the other foot and we was getting the grief and we was being challenged and we was being ridiculed, he sat there smirking at people. He's meant to be a West Ham fan. And he's always smirked in people's faces. And he's never said he hasn't. We'll carry on.
But in some ways, an end of era. And I've been saying this to John.
End of an era. End of an era for who? Fucking party time for me. Party time for you. End of an era for him. And end of an era for what he's about to say.
And I've said this to Nigel, and I'll repeat it. You know, when I started out, I didn't start out to be an ITK or a source or whatever it is, but I met a number of people, including David Sullivan, including David Gold.
Sullivan.
Yeah, including Angus Kinnear, who was managing director, including Tara Warren, including Gavin Stanley.
Hold up, Sean. Can I just point out now? I will dive in again.
Go on.
Yeah. I met these people,
Yeah.
but I didn't turn out like you.
That's it. Nigel's just hit the nail on the head there. Nigel and Sean are friends. Nigel has been in places with Sean for years and years and years. Nigel, to his credit, once went into a box. And why David Gold came into the box, and Nigel's always been critical of the ownership and don't want nothing to do with him. Even though he speaks to this twonk, Nigel, instead of sitting there and shaking his hand and grinning and bearing it, walked outside and waited till David Gold left because he didn't want nothing to do with him. He's just said there, I met the same people as you do at the same time as you do. I didn't do what you did. He chose to do this. He wasn't pushed into it. He didn't fall into it. He chose to do it. Let's continue.
Well, you create relationships, right? I'm gonna go. You create relationships.
What you did.
Great relationships. Great relationships with the men that you know were pretty much the creators of the downfall of your club, and didn't end the relationship when he found out what they was doing and what he was helping them do. Continued up to today.
Now, if Nigel was like a 50, he didn't go in early with the name West Ham Football on Twitter.
Yeah.
He didn't get 50,000 followers. and then feel like a little blaze of fame.
I
I
would
thought it was
say,
like-
Sean, that
You're accusing me of chasing the clout. That's what they're doing.
bit
I will
something
criticise
about it.
that. Yeah, you manoeuvred yourself into those positions. Yeah,
Yeah.
you became their friend. You became someone that they would want to
I wouldn't
trust.
say a
and
friend, but
whatever.
yeah, but you build up a trust.
Oh.
Yeah, you're not a friend because look, Karen.
They're friends of his. Well, he's right there. Wouldn't say a friend, but they know they could use him. They know they could trust him, and they knew they could fucking count on him to lie to everyone and spread the information that he wants spread.
Brady didn't have friends, right?
No, yeah, all right, granted.
You know,
Was-
they wanted something as well. But I'm saying, you know, it's the end of an era. The old guard have gone. Everybody beyond one or two, right? There's maybe some people like Geordie Ben and, you know, Nicola Key. Never told me anything, but I know Nicola, you know, the ticketing director. But, you know, really, that whole old guard is now gone with David Sullivan. Obviously, Tara Warren's left. You know, we Karen Brady's left. David Gold died. You know, Angus Kinnear's gone. Gavin Stanley's gone.
Geordie Ben's an hangover from Terry Brown.
Yeah, I know, and I like Geordie Ben, but he hasn't got any information apart from bands. And the whole ecosystem, right? So, do I know agents? Of course, I know agents, but the whole ecosystem are built.
Geordie Ben. Bellingworth he's talking about now. The man responsible for banning fans. He's had me in a room and put me to the sword. He's just basically named everyone that he's been getting his information from. Karen Brady, David Gold, who's sadly passed away. Named another couple of names. I can't remember who they are. Geordie Ben, who is Ben Illingworth. That if you ever get in a meeting with Bill Illingworth, get ready to defend yourself because he's coming for you. Nicola Key, who's the same. You ever get a phone call from Nicola Key, you're in trouble. All of these people that make it their job to make sure the proper fans don't get a good experience and to make sure that they're on top and ready to pounce on these old school fans because they didn't want them now. They'll want them back now. That's who this man's friends are. He just said there, Geordie Ben ain't got no information apart from who's banned. Why is Ben disclosing to him who's banned? I'm sure that must be confidential information. It's not anybody else's fucking business who's banned. He's just said there, hey, Geordie Ben will tell you who's banned. There we go. It's all coming out in the wash now.
Around David Sullivan. So, you know, that sort, and you just go, maybe it's now time to reflect. It's a young man's game. I don't think West Ham will be the same leaky kind of free information club it used to be. And I'm sure you're going to say that's a good thing, but maybe this is the
That is a
time
good thing.
to sort of slip back into the shadows.
There we go. There we go. Everyone's gone. He can't do what he wants to do anymore. Now he wants to fuck off. He's fucked you and me over for years and years and years. Smiled in our faces while he's done it. Now his mates are fucked off and he's on his own. Now he wants to disappear. Let's listen to what he's got to say.
And sort of go,
Sorry, are you saying that the source of information is run up, but it's just not run out for you, it's run out for a lot of people?
yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying, John.
He's basically chucking everyone under the bus now. He's basically telling, listen, he's the most famous. He owns it. There's people that are, I'm not going to name anyone. I don't know anyone for fact, but basically he's saying everyone's fucked now. Nobody's got any line of information. That means they were all getting their information from the same people. Have a think about that.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Bingo. I think it will dry up for everyone. Yeah. A journalist as well. I mean, look, that's got me. I'm not going to name them, but you talk almost every football journalist. They're not going to want me to name them now, but come on, right? You're saying which football journalists had relationships with Karen Brady, Dave. with Sullivan, etc. You could name them; they're all still doing stuff, but they're not. And my problem was that I was publicly known with my association, and therefore I'm being called out. But
that's his problem. Not the He ain't got the problem that he's associated with someone in big trouble in the law. His problem is now people knew that he had a relationship with him. And yes, he's right. He's right in certain aspects, right? Because there are people hiding in the shadows that don't are not going to admit that they've had a working relationship with a man, right? And that's why I said I respect this man. Because he admits it. The worst ones, and I don't know they are. I don't know any more than you, right? But I'm sure you can work it out. The worst ones are the ones that lie about it. You work them out. You work out who it is. I'm not going to speculate.
There are plenty of people that took information that are not being called out, including many, many journalists and broadcasters, right? The funny thing is, one of them getting a lot.
Boo hoo hoo! I got caught. You didn't. That's what that is. Grass.
I agree. Is Moose, Ian Abrahams. He never had a relationship with David Sullivan. I never got information from him, but he's one of the ones being called out. You know. Live by the sword, die by the sword. Never, as I say, never explain, never complain.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. I respect that. But if you think you're going to be able to slip away, Sean, into the shadows and go back to West Ham and just take your place now as a fan after everything you've done, I think you've got another thing coming, mate. I think you've badly misjudged the situation here.
And, you know, I'm not his defender. I'm not his apologist. But I do think it's a new world order. And I don't think Kredinsky and Trip Smith are the kind of people to talk to journalists or fan accounts in the same way that the old guard did.
It won't stop you from getting on your knees and trying to fucking suck dick for it, though, will it, Sean?
So what about the new director of football? What about if he is? Or she?
Well, he or she. I think it will be a Kredinsky appointment. I know that certain agents have put through their candidates and they've been rejected.
And when I asked that question the other day, do you know any more or are you done? That's the answer. He's done.
So, you know, I think the old guard has gone. You know, maybe agents that know or
end of an era, he calls it. End of his era. End of his fun. End of fucking 10 years of misery for me and you. End of 10 years of fucking protesting and trying to claim our club back. End of an era for this boy. Oh, it was fun while it lasted. I'm looking forward to getting my club back.
Used to equate with Sullivan are also not getting their own way in putting their candidates. So, you know, I think it's a new world order. And I think that's good. That's good for the club, right?
There we go. He's just admitted it's good for the club that he's gone. He was the one trying to fucking keep him now.
Yeah, well, we hope so.
Yeah, well, you know, so, you know, I think, you know, some people will bear a grudge for a long time, but, you know.
I think a lot of people, Sean. I don't think you realise what you've done, mate. You know, you palm it off. I don't really think you realise how serious it is to be associated with a man that people hate with such disdain. And you're the one peddling his shit. He's gone now. He can't protect you anymore, mate. You're left to face the music. And that, like I was years ago when I went into there trying to do the best thing by giving some advice to the club off my own back. No meetings with Sullivan or anything like that. I met with Brady. Brady was a different kettle of fish and she was just asking some questions. Never asked her for anything. Never took any favours for anything. Went off there off my own back. Never even took a fucking sandwich off the table. And I tried to give her some advice. Not for the club. And he would have been in these meetings and he would have been sniggering, probably. not for the club, but for the fucking good of the people, to try and make it a little bit better for the people. I don't give a shit about these people. I really don't. I don't care. I've never wanted to help the club. And you know what they've done to us after they finished with us, after all the advice we give them? Chucked us under the fucking bus. That's what they've done. And listen, I wasn't expecting anything different. I don't really give a shit. But there we go. That's look, he's had his fun now. It continues.
It's their opinion. Nothing I can say about that. I think some people have been a bit harsh on me, saying, well, you must have known what he did 40 years ago.
No, I don't agree with that. Just because he knows Sullivan, it doesn't mean he knows what he was up to. You can't pin that on him. Yeah, listen, this geezer's done enough wrong without pinning anything like that on him. Listen, don't worry about all that. Let's just assume that he didn't know fuck all. Yeah, let's just assume it. But that doesn't get him off the hook, I don't think.
Well, not beyond all of us knew, that was in the public domain, right? So I'm looking forward to next season and West Ham winning games and Nuno leading.
Yeah, I dropped off them. So I missed all the good bits.
I'm looking forward to Nuno winning games and scoring 82 goals and earning us 99 points. Who knows? One day I might be able to go back to away games.
Away games? I'd suggest you don't turn up to a home game, mate. That's just my advice. In fact, come. I'd like to see what people got to say to you.
Who knows?
Who knows? Not just yet, Ace. Hey, Nigel.
Yeah, it might take a while. Well, all right. So what's going on anywhere else, Sean?
I don't know. I'm not an ITK anymore. If you didn't hear my resignation speech, you missed it.
How funny is it?
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on. I mean,
I saw.
Yeah, I'm not sure about it.
What? You're not sure about what?
What you don't know what's going on?
I wouldn't. No, I'd give it a while.
Nigel don't think he's going to quit. That's what it is. He's just said he's quit, and Nigel's going, I don't think so. You know why Nigel thinks that? And I'm going to speak to Nigel today. Nigel thinks that because he knows what a fucking, what's the word? What a joy thief that cunt is. He can't help himself. He can't help himself but to be the bearer of bad news. He can't help himself but to lie to your fucking face to help a geezer just so he knows everything before you do. He can't help himself. That's what Nigel's umming and ahhing about, and that's what he's saying. Like he's going to ask him now, do you want to do it off air or whatever? Nigel's saying, you ain't going to stop, mate. You're too fucking much of a sicko to stop. You get too much joy out of it.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I don't believe him.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
He doesn't believe.
At Universal Hyundai, we say yes. Yes to thousands of savings. Yes to low APR offers. And yes to driving home happy in a brand new Hyundai like the new Elantra or Tucson. All new Hyundais are backed by America's best warranty, 10 years, 100,000 miles, and owner assurance. Plus, right now, we're overpaying for trades. Find out what yours is worth today. At Universal Hyundai, no surprise pricing. What you see is what you pay. Truly the better place to buy. UniversalHyundai.com. That's UniversalHyundai.com.
Oh, all right, mate.
Go on.
Doesn't believe him.
I don't understand what you're saying, Nigel.
Yeah.
You want to say off
He
air,
doesn't want to say it. He doesn't want to expose him on air. He's going to say to him, you're too much of a sick cunt.
I think he's on a delay, Sean.
Oh, is he? Right.
Well, do you know or don't you know?
Do I know? I don't know. I don't know. No.
Well, what's going on? You
No,
still
I
got your
don't.
finger on the pulse, but you're just not going to
No.
reveal it, or
No, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Oh, now he's gone. Maybe he knows what's going on. Maybe Nigel's the new ITK. He's going to take over.
I saw Fernandez being like they said Fernandez was going to be 85 million somewhere.
80 million is so. I know that Fernandez is valued at 80.
That's it. That's all I'm going to go through. That's enough for me. I think I missed a bit out in there when he basically turns around and says, "Not his job. He don't get paid for it. He don't get any financial reward from it. He just does it for fun." Just imagine a man that does that for fun. For a man like that. Oh, I'm sorry, but yeah, I'll bump into you at some point, Sean, and I'll ask you the questions, mate. And we'll always got a camera on me and a microphone, and I know you'll answer them. That's how much of a sick fuck you are. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. One thing left to say. Come on, you guys.